Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the fiction game. There's no time for an intro. Absolutely no time. If you were here last time, you know why. Just a quick recap. 60 seconds max. Our heroes, Merigold, Albert, and Keith, stumbled upon a hectic battlefield with way too much going on. There was a demon fighting the chimera that they were hunting. A small group of demon hunters was approaching the combat dressed in ochre garb and chainmail. They were fighting in the middle of ancient dwarven ruins of particular interest to Keith Dwarvenforge, one of our members and the predator druid of our party. A shadowy figure, which appears to be either stalking the whole group or Keith specifically, has been following them for some time and is near the combat now. The hunter casters that have been attacking the group for weeks are here, and they've brought a small band of 8 baronial guards who appear to be working with the hunter casters voluntarily and following their orders. There's too much going on, and so what we're going to start with is a couple of rolls to determine what you guys can figure out about this combat. Merigold McCarlin, played by Sam, having been raised in a noble bloodline, raised to lead troops and not fight among them, there is he has the best tactical mind of anyone of you three. So Merigold, you're gonna make a roll with advantage. That means roll twice and take whichever one's higher because of your noble training to figure out a tactical outline of what's going on and some options of what to do based on all of that. So go ahead and roll those in the dice channel. Alberth is going to also roll for his insight into the demon. Alberth had symbiotically linked his mind with a demon, not by his own will. The demon took control of that power and basically cast it on itself, but unwittingly provided a weakness for Merigold to cast his magely spell of Compel Indiscretion, which Alberth failed voluntarily, causing both him and the demon to put out a bunch of information that they had been keeping from one another, including a grand secret about demons and about the magic system as a whole, that this demon would give anything to keep quiet. So now he's lunging at Alberth's throat. Alberth, I'm going to need a d20 roll to see how much other information you gathered from the demon's mind before he severed the link. And Keith needs no roll at all, just a simple decision. Keith, you are a predator druid, but there are multiple ways that animals act as predators in the wild. You just need to choose which mindset you are approaching this combat with. The mindset of a lone wolf or the mindset of a pack hunter. Each will give you certain situational bonuses depending on how you're approaching this situation. First of all, Merigold, what have you rolled? Let me hop into this dice channel.
7 and a 1, so I probably will take the 7, I think, but that's probably not going to work anyways.
Sam incredibly continuing the streak of rolling maybe the worst I've ever seen in a tabletop role-playing game. The tradition continues this week. First of all, because you rolled a 3 or higher, you discover, here's one of the basic facts about your situation. It may appear hopelessly complicated how many different factions and involved parties there are in this cluttered battlefield. But there are, you can in fact boil it down to 2 main factions and 2 outliers for a couple of reasons. First of all, the demon hunters are working alongside your party to fight the demon right now. They consider you allies, and for the duration of this fight, you could probably consider them to be your allies. You are working together, even though you don't know all of their strengths and weaknesses. None of you are fighting each other or invested in killing one another. So they can be considered your allies. Second of all, the baronial guard, the 8 guards in just plain dressed with the colors of Baron Teeth Lehan, with whom you had spoke 2 episodes ago, are being commanded by the hunter casters, which means they can be considered one faction as well. You and the demon hunters, and the hunter casters and the baronial guard. That leaves 2 outliers. Number 1, of course, the demon that is now lunging at Alberth and trying to take him out, that's displayed some erratic behavior, at one point trying to make a deal with Alberth, and another point just fighting everybody who got close to it. It seems to be attacking or maybe even hunting the chimera when you showed up. But the demon is its own outlier, which makes it harder to deal with because it doesn't really have an alliance to anyone else here, but it also makes it easier to deal with. Because as you know from your study of the 8 magics, the demon only wants pain and suffering, which means that it belongs to no faction in particular and can work to your advantage or disadvantage based on who hurts it the most. And from what you could tell about this demon's behavior, that's all about positioning, except now it's lunging at Alberth, so that's a problem that's going to have to be resolved before you can use this demon, this obstacle as a stepping stone like you'd like to. The other mysterious outlier is the shadowy figure. Another wild card. You don't know who they are, and you don't know what they want, and it could add any quantity of advantage or disadvantage to your situation. So that's Merigold's first breakdown of the situation. 2 main factions and 2 outliers that could go either way, could go any way. Next, because you rolled a 6 or higher, 2 insights into the enemy tactic. Firstly, they attacked Keith after he was thrown a truly lethal distance into the air. Last session, Keith had been thrown by the demon just too high for a mortal person to survive. This means that they must believe, for whatever reason, that he could have survived the fall. They likely know that he is a druid from previous fights, and just like Alberth gained 2 wild boons last episode, the boon of my mimesis, and the boon of Ecdysis. Both of which are options to use in this fight, and I'll bring it up when it's your turn. They may have thought that Keith was allied with, that perhaps his patron was a flying predator wild folk, and that he had some kind of air powers. Either way, they expected him to survive it, which is why the claw had chucked the swordswoman at Keith, which actually ended up saving him a little bit. The second insight into the enemy tactic. They attack the Chimera, which you find very curious. Why would they need to kill the creature to convince the Baron not to side with you if they already have his support given the presence of the Baronial Guard? There are 2 potential explanations. Either they thought you could turn the Chimera to your side in some way, which you do have a druid, and if they think that he might be a symbiote druid, there's a chance that that's an option, turning the Chimera to your side. Either that, or they actually recruited these guards under false pretenses, and Baron Tieflehen hasn't actually turned traitor against your party. But that's as high as you rolled, so there are many other secrets about the battlefield that Merigold does not deduce at this time, and we can move on to Alberth, who rolled a 19. Alberth, there's so much that you know. There's so much information.
Excellent.
First of all, what you already know from last time, the demon's big secret. This demon, and in fact all demons, are working towards some ancient agreement, an ancient oath, by which they benefit from the suffering of others, or rather, the appearance of the suffering of others. They benefit from their high level of infamy in your world, and if that secret got out, presumably they would lose that major advantage. This is why the demon is attacking Alberth right now. He discovered a secret that he shouldn't know. But the demon wasn't forced to say this out loud by compel indiscretion. You only know this because of your symbiotic link with it. Now, because of your very high roll, you have learned 4 additional details before the symbiotic link was broken. Alberth being very experienced at reading his symbiotic link for notions and mentality from his partner. Because you rolled a 4 or higher, you know that this thing was summoned here by a warlock who set the terms for its entry into this world. The demon considers this warlock a fool, but is still limited in terms of power, form, and longevity. This means that despite the rumors and legends that you've heard about these big horrifying demons that are truly unstoppable, this one is limited in some way, and because of your other information, you know maybe they're not really as powerful as their infamy would imply. Either way, this thing is nowhere near its full strength. This is not its final form, if you will. Next, because you rolled an 8 or higher, you know that this thing is bound by its promises. Somehow it craves an agreement. You sense that it greatly benefits from the suffering to which someone mortal consents in some way. It's why this thing proposed a deal rather than killing you outright, and it's why demons tend to work their evil will through warlocks in this world. because you rolled a 12 or higher, um, you you have another inkling of something that this thing, an idea that this thing might have, and a way you might placate it. Perhaps you can guarantee your silence in some way through a contract, a bond. You're not sure. Would that make you a warlock? Would that cause this demon to be your patron? To have this, is that the solution? Uh, would that make you an agent of evil? And if so, would that be worth it? It feels worth it right now. Your predator, or I mean, sorry, your prey mentality gives you the sense that that's worth it. The alternative is not a happy ending. The alternative is happening right now. And last, because you rolled an 18 or higher, you discover the final secret about this demon. The warlock who summoned this thing is a power-hungry fool. Someone with a grudge against either you or this chimera because he sent it out to fight this chimera. Maybe someone who has inexplicably been protected against psychic effects, although not completely. Someone who seems to cause his share of pain and suffering, who surrounds himself with casters on his right hand and his left.
Interesting.
Yep, that's the last thing
Baron.
that you realize about this demon. And Keith, what's your decision? Are you approaching this fight from the perspective of a lone wolf or from the perspective of a pack hunter?
I wanted to ask, can you clarify for the old battles we've been through? Because we've been traveling for months at this point, right? Or weeks at least.
A week or two, yeah.
And we fought multiple times in that amount of time.
Yes, you have fought these hunter casters 3 times, I believe, prior to this.
During those times, did I normally fight in a group setting or with a more individual?
Usually you are symbiotically linked with Alberth, which means a little bit of both. It wasn't necessarily like you were looking out for your whole pack, but it was like someone else was sharing a mind space with you, and you had several cooperative tactics.
I'm probably going to go in then with a group mentality, knowing that this is going to most likely help me in the long run.
Right on. Using your pack hunter mentality, you realize that your best option is to take out each foe one by one from the outskirts of the fight. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the lone wolf option. I've lost my mind. I'm sorry. You said pack hunter. From the pack hunter mentality, your best option is to engage with the threats against your party. You could distract the demon by attacking it with the weapon of the fallen ochre soldier, which is edged in silver. Remember, one of the ochre warriors had fallen and dropped his large axe. It looks like a lumber axe, but it's edged in silver. That could be an effective weapon against this thing, and the demon is certainly the largest threat to your party, like, immediately in this moment. Another option is you could try to take out the Claw, who seems to be the impromptu leader of the Hunter Casters, and probably the highest martial threat. The Claw, again, is a mutated druid who wields a shield, and his entire right arm has been transmuted into a giant lobster claw. It looks very unwieldy, but it is proven to be extremely deadly in combat. You have, in addition to these options for what to do, you also have a +2 for each attack made against an enemy threatened by another ally, because you're working as a pack. So, all of that said, all of those options out in the open, does anyone know the first thing that they're going to do with this new information, this new mentality?
Cast Vicious Mockery.
You've been barding it up in your other campaign. Is there anyone that you think Merigold is going to taunt or antagonize in particular?
Okay, so let me just do a quick recap to make sure I'm understanding. We definitely want the witch hunters to be on our side. We were kind of maybe going to try to manipulate this demon into helping us, but now he's attacking me is the last thing I remember, right? Or did
No,
we?
he's attacking Alberth.
Albert, that's right, because Albert realized his like true intention. You're right. Okay, I mixed that up. He was attacking me earlier, but now he's attacking me. That's
correct.
because he realized that. So definitely want to help Albert out. I don't know what I can do to help Keith out at this point.
Keith is a little ways off to the side, a couple, like 20 feet away from the swordswoman, because they had landed and gotten down from opposite trees, like as they were gliding down. Neither of them managed to kill each other, and there were several rolls and attempts to do so, but they fell apart.
So I'm feeling like I don't really have any combat skills really at this point, relatively speaking. So maybe I could try to distract the demon again, but I don't know if I can really do anything. Probably I should wait to take my turn until something else develops.
Reasonable. A couple things. Oh yeah, Hayden, do you have something first?
Not yet. Well, I know what I'm going to do, but you go finish your train of thought.
Right on. Yeah, a couple things to note for Merigold. Oh, I may have forgotten them completely. What was the last thing you said? I was correcting you.
Oh, that was... Yeah, so demons going after Albert, that's kind of the immediate concern. Yes. We could try to get... The witch hunters are kind of helping us. We could try to get the demon to turn on the other group as well. They're here under potentially false pretenses, unknown. Albert could potentially use a symbiotic link to get the help of the Chimera, is that what it is, right?
Yes.
I want to make sure I'm not mixing it up with a different monster.
Yeah. I almost said
the Chimera's dead, right?
The Chimera was firebombed and ran into the woods. So that's one thing. The Chimera is very far from you now. But if in the long term, there is a possibility of it. Especially because this place was sort of infused with that symbiotic power from the visitation of Albert's patron, as we had noted earlier.
And we do have to kill and have proof of the death of the Chimera in order to get the things we need from like the city lord or whatever.
Yes, the Baron is contractually obligated to hand over half of his baronial guard as your escort for the rest of the journey to the capital, but he has the right to demand a favor from you in return, essentially. And so he said to hunt the Chimera. So once you do that, he's contractually obligated to send you with guards. However, depending on whether the baronial guards are here on his orders, he may have already just fully broken the law and attacked the servants of the queen and is like a criminal now, and there's no amount of like politicking that you can do at him that will convince him not to try and kill you. So that's a possibility. Also, they're demon hunters, not witch hunters, which is great news because Elway fully passed out at the very beginning of the combat, if you'll remember. And then Yasuka was like yeeted of significant distance. Actually, Keith can see her from where he is, charging with just her sword, but not her shield, because the shield was left at the combat, and I believe is currently in the possession of Merigold.
Right.
Next thing to clear up. Because you're a mage, you have several wards that you could keep active. The kinetic ward, the psychic ward, and the presence ward. The presence ward could let you know when something's sneaking up on you. The psychic ward could protect you from psychic attacks, which the demon appears to be like using on casters to make them use their powers in certain ways. The kinetic ward, I will note, probably less useful for you right now, because none of the hunter casters, nor any of the baronial guards, have thrown or projectile weapons. They're all melee all the time.
Yeah, I'll definitely throw up a psychic ward, and I don't have much I can do other than I'll start running towards Alberth because I know the demon recoiled from the shield the first time it touched it.
That's true.
So I'll try to throw that in.
How fast can Merigold switch the wards?
That's a good question.
He can switch them instantly. It's more of a cooldown than a warm-up. So now that he's switched it just now, it's going to be a while, just like 60 seconds or so, before he can switch it to another one.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
Yep. Yeah, throwing the shield to Alberth is a great idea. Let's see what Alberth is doing immediately right now. Hayden.
This flood of information reaches Albert's mind, and as does one of the arms. And I shoot back immediately, like, I will never tell a soul if you leave my friends alone and let us escape.
Your mind can't send that because you're no longer symbiotically linked. You have to say it out loud.
Oh, shoot. I'll say it out loud then.
Right.
And scream it like, let us go and never tell a soul.
It continues reaching out its tentacle and kind of like blitzing towards you like it was coming at Merigold earlier. And a deep and raspy voice responds, "No, you won't tell a soul." And it closes in to kill you.
Dang it.
You sense that maybe it's also because you had literally told it earlier that you were going to agree to its terms and not do them anyways. But you sense that there's still some wiggle room here because there are actions that this demon has like forced you to take, like the symbiotic link. He exerted his will over yours. Which means maybe there is a way he actually can guarantee that. He's closing in for the kill right now, so it must be preferable to him for whatever reason. But there's probably some wiggle room. There's probably some other solution that would work for the both of you. Is your intrinsic sense being attuned to symbiosis as you are?
Sweet.
So yeah, are there any defensive maneuvers, item usage? Oh, items, by the way, special items that you guys have, just so you to add to the whole sit rep overview of the situation. Albert, you still got 2 vials of sweet ichor. The demon was earlier repelled by that and seems to not even be able to like cross over it. It had to go around it instead of over. So maybe it works similar to the salt barrier that Abulkashad had communicated to your mind. Merigold, you have Fireheart powder, and Keith, your best special item is the one that you started with, your 2 blades made of Tiefstahl. Yeah, an additional part of that sit rep.
I'm gonna pop open one of the ichor vials and just make a big old circle around me.
Yeah. So that's the first big combat option. Not just talking or throwing stuff in the air. Alberth, very quickly pops open a vial of Icar's blood, spins in a circle, pouring it, makes sure that it forms a solid barrier. And you finish a circle around yourself, and the demon pulls up short, not able to enter it. Not seeming dissuaded by this at all, it picks up a log and tries to yeet it at you from 4 feet away. Meanwhile, Keith, your friend and longtime hunting partner Alberth is in immediate danger. You had thought earlier, attack the demon, attack the claw, attack the demon, attack the claw. One of those is seeming like a much better option right now.
All right. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go attack the demon, like as fast and as hard as I possibly can, I suppose.
Right on.
Is it back to me?
It doesn't really have one because it has one eye over here towards Alberth that's crossed out and one eye on the other side still attacking the Ochre Warriors. It doesn't have an eye above it, and you are near a bunch of trees. You could scurry up a tree and try a diving attack in case there wasn't enough verticality to this fight in which you were thrown to the clouds.
Can I also cast my own spell on myself?
Yeah, definitely. Wait, compel adrenaline? Yes. That's one of your unique predator options. Alberth couldn't cast it on himself, but Alberth could cast it on a group. You can cast it on yourself. When you are in the moment, as long as you are sure you are in a predator mentality, you can close that gap and go for the throat immediately. So your plan right now is to get the height advantage, diving attack towards this demon?
Yeah, aiming for eyes if I can, if not tentacles holding a tree is good enough for me.
Right on. Your main obstacle right now, the swordswoman sees you doing this and begins to dash towards you with her double rapiers. She leaps into the air and does some like spinning pirouette, like maelstrom attack. Go ahead and roll to avoid her to continue on your attack instead.
All right, can I sacrifice a sword and throw it at her to give me better chances for this avoidance roll?
That sounds awesome. Yeah. You chuck one of the swords at her, and knowing she could deflect or dodge it easily, but not at the same time as closing in the gap, she turns down, like slaps it out of the air, and then falls flat on her back because she can't do that and close the distance at the same time. So you have not like distracted her from the fight. You get up the tree no problem using your one Tiefstahl blade as sort of like a climbing hook as you scale this thing like an Olympic speed climber. Run out along one of the branches, jump into a spiraling dive, and you are coming down at this thing blade first. Make that roll. And are you using Compel Adrenaline?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right on.
Stacking all the cards, one hit.
I'm going to say you get a +2 from Compel Adrenaline on yourself, and you get a +2 from the pack tactics that we had discussed earlier. Add 4 to your roll, and let's see what it is. Okay, sweet.
Okay, there we go.
An 18 total means that this demon does not see you in time to bat you away with one of its many tentacles or crooked talon arms. Its uninjured eye turns up at you at the last second, and you are like putting your weight against this thing, fully braced in like a pile drive with a blade. It hits, and you can feel it push in like you're trying to stab through thick ceramic. It pushes in for a moment in a way that you, being a very perceptive warrior and smith yourself, have noticed all weapons other than silver have experienced this same resistance. The silver seems to cut through it and turn all the severed portions are turned into obsidian. But you feel this resistance give way under the weight of your hunting dive, and it cracks so audibly that everyone is like stunned by it. It's like a flashbang sound of crack. And having driven your sword through the side of it, this thing turns its eye, and it actually turns like it pulls the sword with it, and you are like thrown down and have to pull it out. And when you do, you see that there is a slash through this eye as well. It's got 2 slashed eyes. But you have no indication of like if that's an upper limit or if that's like now it can't see you, or the eye's purely symbolic, because if you'll remember, it just looks like an emblazoned eye of fire that rotates all around this thing. But it does like shriek and convulse and move rapidly away from Keith, which means you have driven it away from Alberth. Merigold is too close to the both of you for this thing to close the gap on any of you, so forced to be flung out, it starts to pivot. It moves like 30 miles an hour. It slinks crazily across, but it has to cut a wide arc as it's going around towards the tree in which Al-Kashad still resides. But it'll take him a moment to get there, which is when the hunter casters make their moves. They close in a formation that you've seen before, shield and claw in front, with the mask with his whip knife in behind, shooting it out at vulnerable moments, trying to catch people's ankles and stuff. He's nasty. In addition, the 8 baronial guards, not really sure what they're supposed to do, because there's like this really effective like moving as a unit, the hunter casters, and then they're like, I mean, I guess we flank, and they just up 4 on either side, start to try and box you guys in as the demon like wheels its way wildly around the outside of this. You guys are no longer like in the ruins. You were still peeking over the hill when this demon came at you, so you're fighting at the top of this little escarpment. With the dwarven ruins on one side and a field on the other side where you saw that shadowy figure earlier no longer having disappeared from sight, and this demon is like flinging around in that field, keeping a wide berth. It runs into a big problem, however, in the form of a charging Yasuka, who is on a collision course with it and jumps into the air in a wild, like holding her sword like a bat. Now that she doesn't have a shield for her other, she leaps into the air, twisting, still glowing with that divine silvery, like sunlight kind of light. And she and the demon are engaged in like really rigorous combat. You guys have a moment to reassess. And regroup.
First things first, I'm immediately casting Compel Adrenaline on Yasuka.
Right on. Sweet, yeah. I think you had done this earlier, and it led to a really like a really good victory. And so Yasuka, once again empowered with not only her own search for justice, but with a druid's sense of, you know, finishing the job, going for the throat. She closes in on this thing and begins driving it back away from the party with just relentless hacking with the one sword. She doesn't have as much defensive capability without the shield, but she's still in her full silver armor, and she seems to be doing extremely well against this thing.
And how close are the three of us together? I assume I'm pretty close to Alberth, as I was on top of the thing attacking him, 4-ish feet away. And then Merigold was nearby?
Yes, yeah, you guys are clustered together. You're closer to one another, and now also to Vizier Kama and unconscious Elway. You guys are a cluster, closer to one another than you are to any of the other distinct groups. The demon hunters split up a little bit. Two of them go to help Yasuka in her fight against the demon, but one of them actually stays with you guys, sensing that you are allies in some way, or maybe associating these hunter-casters, assuming that they have something to do with the demon, because they attacked you guys, and you guys were attacking the demon. Either way, apparently their archer seems to think that you guys are sufficiently on his side, and he kind of sidles up to you guys and starts flinging arrows. Just takes out one of the baronial guard right away, one hit, no questions asked. Just right through the throat, and the guy falls down, and the other baronial guards are like, right, these are like magic users and stuff, like we're not equipped for this.
I compel adrenaline on all of those baronial guards.
Fantastic for a number of reasons. Because not only do you cause 6 of the remaining 7 baronial guards to immediately flee outwards from this circle, but you also, because the area is non-selective, right? You can't select specific people in an area. It's just an area burst. Oh, yeah. And of course, this means you're compelling adrenaline on the unconscious Elway, who immediately, what? And just bolt upright and like scrambles up and draws out a knife, like, what? Huh? Hey guys, catch me? I'll just stab anyone we don't like. And she immediately turns and is able to use her ability in this sort of chain combat thing. You guys aren't particularly familiar with the spells that a witch can cast, with the possible exception of Merigold. Merigold, you've studied each of the 8 magics, none of them as intensely as you've studied magecraft, but you're knowledgeable about this kind of thing, as a mage is expected to be. And you are pretty sure that she is now able to compel... Let me look up the exact terminology. But she's able to compel dissent, which causes like disagreement and the breakdown of organization, and she is able to invoke chaos, which disrupts communication, organization, or authority in a number of ways. And so compounding on Alberth's ability to cause this panic and fear and running away, Elway focuses on the flautist, the sorcerer that had been casting frost spells and speeding up the whole party and making them all very dangerous. She just seems to look at him, and she like puts away her knife, and she just like stares, and you could and like a slow grin spreads across what like a very lopsided grin as this dude just like seems to fully lose his mind, chucks the flute at the claw, which is like bonks harmlessly against the side of his head, and the flautist, apparently broken by this powerful witch compulsion, just begins cackling like this shrieking laughter and just runs for the hills, both arms up. No idea what just happened. Haven't seen Elway do that before, but it's deeply
let's hope it doesn't
effective.
happen again.
Yeah, so it's just the claw and the mask now who kind of glance at each other like, do we still like our odds? I don't know about this. This brings up another tactical decision. The tides are beginning to turn. Alberth, your symbiotic link with the demon has of course been broken and is no longer being forced. You have it once again to use on whoever you want. You're accustomed to using it with Keith. It could help his like situational awareness a little bit, and it would help your combat prowess greatly. You could symbiotically link with Merigold to communicate the information because he's the tactical genius and you're the one that figured out all the demon stuff. You could symbiotically link with Abakashad again to see if he has any input into the situation, or you could even symbiotically link with Elway, Yasuka, or any of the Ochre guardsmen. You can attempt to symbiotically link with the hunter casters or the one baronial guard who was apparently not in a prey mentality and just stayed and is like still closing in around you guys, but he does look confused as all of his companions just flee into the forest. Any number of those combinations. But remember, a symbiotic link, unlike a parasitic link, has to be consensual for both ends. Like, you can't cast it on someone unwilling.
Nice. I am definitely going to link with Merigold, mostly because on the chance that I die, I want this information to kind of disseminate, like, on a grand, like, world-ending scale. This is like bigger than just Alberth. So
Alberth has the shield, yeah? Or no, Merigold has the shield.
Yeah, I think they're like right next to each other.
Why don't we just back up Merigold, have him in the front, like a triangle formation. I have a sword in the back in case anybody gets close, and if everybody wants to stay away, you've got a gun. We could just like back him up. He's got the shield in front of him. And we could go like that. That's a pretty defensible position.
That's true. Alberth, you symbiotically link with Merigold, and Merigold, you can sense some of what Albert's trying to communicate to you, but it doesn't work in words or pictures or anything like that. It's just a general sense of stuff. So you can tell that the demon has a secret, and that there's something about the demon that's like you're unsure what it is, but like you're perceiving it wrong in some way. It's hard for you to discern like the details of it. Yeah, you also do realize something else. Your items, as a quick side note, have additional effects that could be affected by the symbiotic link. Alberth, you know that healing factors are affected by this. So if either of you is wounded, the application of Ichor to one of you could increase the regenerative capacity of both of you. But don't drink it. Abakashad was pretty clear about this. You should probably not drink it. And secondly, Merigold's ability as well, the Fireheart powder, would clear both of your heads in case you are stunned or unconscious or anything like that. Yeah, all of that's an option.
Cool.
Right on. So for now, you are you guys forming that triangle? Alberth and Merigold are symbiotically linked, and Alberth and Keith have worked together a bunch. You guys can band together, form this triangle with, it sounded like Merigold with the shield in the front, Keith supporting, or like fighting anyone who gets close, and Alberth taking shots.
Yeah, Merigold, what do you think of being in the front with the shield as a deterrent for coming up front? You'd be the one taking the hits, so I don't want to shove you in front and just hope for the best.
I mean, I'm fine with it. I might not be as good at like the defense rolls. Like I could give the shield to someone else if that would be better, but I'm fine to do it. I don't know that I could really be useful doing anything else, so that's fine.
All right. Sweet. Yeah, you guys move out. The claw and the mask. In fact, everyone roll me an insight check to determine what's happening in the rest of the battlefield. You significantly disrupted one enemy. You significantly damaged another enemy. There are other things that are going on. Merigold with a 16 on insight realizes two things. First of all, that shadowy figure is much closer. It's in the tree line where Keith just was. It has closed the gap, and it is near you. Second, the swordswoman didn't continue trying to go after Keith. She's gone completely. In fact, in the distance, you see her just running. You doubt that she is running away. She wasn't in the area of compel adrenaline. Elway didn't do a whole witch thing where she scared someone into leaving. This woman is running away in the direction of the city and the caravan.
What all was left of the caravan? Anything?
Everything that's important. The Golden Gale that you need to get to the capital, that's the point of this whole quest, is there, and the only person left guarding it is Rez Kayla. It's hidden away, like it's not on the road or anything, but it's not well guarded right now. And you're still unsure why these people are chasing you. If they were really sent to assassinate like one of the three original members of the party, Rez Kalen or Pater Ullman, or most likely Vizier Kama, or if they were sent to stop the caravan specifically, like they knew about the secret mission, their specific goals are unclear to you. And at that, it occurs to Merigold, this could be a good time to find out with compelling discretion, considering how close you are to these bad guys.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and compel indiscretion. That's a good idea.
Right on. You've cast compel indiscretion a bunch of times today, and just like we talked about earlier, it's a muscle that you have to work. It's getting harder and harder to, and you might not be able to push through their psychic defenses. Roll me a d20 to see how well you do.
That was spelled wrong, but
because of the psychic protections that these other casters have, do you cast this on the claw or the mask?
the claw. He seems like he would be slowish in the head, maybe. He's got a claw.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of, there's this Netflix movie called Thunder Force, and Jason Bateman plays a supervillain with crab hands.
Fantastic. You cast Compel Indiscretion, but the claw's mind is like a steel cage, and you can't punch through it with that 13. You might be, or you can take another shot at this if you use the Fireheart powder that's supposed to like clear your head. That would increase your psychic offense, if you will.
Yes, I will do that.
Sweet. Not having the time to like bake this into something or like boil it into a tea or something, you just take out a little hit and just snort that mind powder. And you feel your mind expand, and Alberth, you feel your mind expand similarly. Everything is brought into sharper focus, and you are so deeply aware of everything that you can hear your own heartbeat. You sense that it is synced up with Merigold's, which is just a physical detail about the power that you hadn't realized earlier. Merigold, this means one of two things. First of all, you can reattempt that roll, but second of all, you can reanalyze your situation. This gives you an extra reroll for your insight about the combat that we had rolled at the very beginning. So roll that one more time, and roll your Compel Indiscretion one more time.
Okay.
So the second Compel Indiscretion is not an improvement with another one, but
Yeah.
you've now rerolled an 18, which tells you everything about this situation. you would the things that you would realize early were the 2 insights into the enemy tactic and the sort of classification of the system into 2 factions and 2 outliers. Because now you've rolled a 9 or higher, you have 2 ideas that could improve your situation. The first is that you could increase your ability to affect the combat by using your Fireheart powder, so we've already been over that now. Oh shoot, you've done both of these. Yeah, you accidentally, this is the table we were using earlier, that the higher you rolled, the more ideas you would have about the combat. And if you rolled a 9 or higher, you would learn that thing about Fireheart powder that you accidentally just did for a different reason. And secondly, you learned that Compel Adrenaline could wake up Elway. So you've already enacted both of these solutions. Great job.
Nice.
But because you rolled a 12 or higher, the Hunter-Casters being here before you means that they have 2 things. Number 1, the ability to track a Chimera, which means they might have a Druid with them, or someone maybe just with hunting experience is really good at moving through the forest and knowing where other things move through the forest. Either that or they have the raw luck to be here accidentally, which you doubt. But it also means they have a method of transportation sufficient to take them and their 8 guards here much faster than your party got there. They probably have horses tied up nearby, and you can ride a horse just as well as they can. If you get to those first, you can get out of here without having to, like, kill everything and everyone that's here and make it like a 0. You're the only ones to escape. Although maybe you want to press this advantage anyways, now that you outnumber the hunter-gatherers, or the hunter-casters that are here. Because it rolled a 15 or higher. If the baronial guard is working with these hunter-casters on the Baron's orders, which, as we've established, is kind of up in the air, then the caravan itself is likely not safe. Rez Kalen, you saw the swordswoman running off, but if the Baron actually sent these guards, then he's probably already looking for your caravan as you went out on this quest. In fact, it could be the reason he sent you so far from the capital was so that he would have an opportunity to do the thing that he wanted to do anyways. Which was like take all of your wares as you were thieves. Or he thought you were. Well, technically you still are, but you're just royally appointed thieves. So yeah, it's likely that you need to return if you want to protect the Golden Gale. In fact, there's a chance that the Baron has already seized it. And last of all, because you rolled an 18 or more, from your studies into the 8 magics, you know that this demon can only be here by the consent of a warlock. This demon has a history of working, this demon has a history of working with mortals. So would it accept an offer to act as patron to another caster? You sense that Alberth has had similar thoughts, that you might be able to turn this problem into an opportunity by making a deal with this demon. However, you have some additional insight to it. It may be more willing to do so if the person offering had proven his worth by, say, successfully psychically affecting the demon. You sense that you would have a better chance at becoming this demon's new caster, like having this demon as as a warlock patron. You would have a better chance of this than Alberth would. However, you're also pretty sure that Arthias, your arcane patron, would be unhappy with you taking a second patron. You're not sure how that would all play out, but that's a long-term consideration, and you are thinking short-term benefit right now. So those are all the additional ideas you have as your mind is expanded. Buy cocaine. Don't do drugs, Twitch. Or do them. I don't care. Yeah. So those are the new things that you realize. The main useful piece of information, because you kind of figured out a lot of those solutions just like as you guys played through. But the main thing, they have horses nearby. You might be able to get out of here without resorting to bloodshed. Or more bloodshed. Meanwhile, Yasuko is not giving up on this thing. She's still hacking away at the demon, and the 2 other ogre warriors are doing their thing. You split off. Are you the demon is still trying to get past the people who are attacking it and to the tree where Abulka Shad resides. Are you guys going to... What's your strategy here? Are you going to position yourself between the demon and Abulka Shad, or are you going to close in on the hunter-casters and try and engage them in combat? Or are you going to stay out of combat as much as possible so that Alberth can take shots with his gun?
I will stay out of combat as much as possible.
Right on.
Probably smart.
Well, I'll back you up, Alberth. Whatever you got.
I think that's a tough one. I would want to stick between the demon and Abulka Shad. But I don't know. If I hit the demon with like my crossbow bolts, does it seem to do anything?
No, it requires like a lot of force to push through that like guarding outer layer that we had mentioned earlier. But if you were to dip down and dip your bolts in the ichor that you had poured on the ground, there's a chance that could have an effect.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. I'll dip a bunch of bolts and then kind of set up between Abulka Shad and the demon.
Okay, right on. Yeah, you scrape up some of these bolts and start moving towards it. The demon had picked up one of the the ogre warriors and had like pitched back like it was going to throw it at Abulka Shad to knock him out of the tree. But seeing you break away, it abandons all pretense of attacking Abulka Shad, throws the thing at you, and begins speeding towards you once again. It looked like maybe its bid to attack Abel was just a ploy to bait you out of the circle of ichor that you had created. You still have one vial left if you need it.
Okay.
But yeah, as this thing closes in, I'm gonna need 2 defensive rolls because there are 2 of you who can prevent this guy from getting to Alberth. First of all, actually, I'm gonna need rolls from each of you. Alberth, roll to dodge the warrior that has just been thrown at you. Merigold, as the demon is still moving in, roll to block his advance with the shield. And Keith, I'm going to need you to roll for... You're trying to attack this thing to get it to move away from Alberth, to zone it away. I'm going to need you to roll for that as well.
I rolled 2 ones in a row.
So not only does Alberth dodge this this warrior, but he was sort of lobbed, and you managed to like hold him and like tuck it so that he, instead of like landing and sprawling, he like lands like on one knee and stumbles to the side, and you help him up, and he draws sword and shield and is with you now.
Nice.
Yeah, he mutters something under his breath in an accent that's a little thick that you can't understand it, but he's saying it to the archer who is now like moving in to be behind the defensive wall of Keith and Merigold. And this new sword and shield guy are all in front of now Alberth and this archer. And you guys are just a bulwark firing at this thing. Merigold, you managed to stave off one of its like reaching out talon claws. You knock it to the side and try and brace against like the body of this thing, but it like has one bulky arm or tentacle. You can't tell because the end of it is like tucked back in, so it's just kind of this elbow, just like lifts you up and knocks you to the side, but it seems to burn as it makes contact with the holy shield, the sterling silver that's still glowing with solar light. It burns, but it throws you off to the side, and Keith, you bring your sword down to attack it, and one of the inky tentacles wraps around the hilt, not wanting you to gain momentum. It like stops you like at the apex of your swing and tries to wrench it out of your hand. You have two options. You can let go of the sword, which now would leave you with no weaponry, but you would stay here, or you can hold on to the sword so you don't lose your last weapon, but you'll be thrown. Not directly up in the air, because that takes like a lot more downforce for this thing, but it's been throwing people left and right, as you've seen. Through you, through Yasuka, through this Ochre Warrior. Now it's going to fling you into the woods.
How close am I to...
Oh, you cut out right after 2. Maybe you're still cut out. Come back to us. All right, well, while Miles turns his router off and back on again. No, jokes aside. Miles, can you hear me? Ah, is he back? Your animation?
Am I back?
I'm not
Can you hear me?
animation. Your video started back up. Yeah, we can hear you
Can you
now.
hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I
He's
could hear
back.
you the whole time. That was weird.
He's a person. I don't have to edit a big 5-minute chunk out of the future video. I'm just going to leave the 30 seconds in. It's fine. Sit through it.
I'm asking how close I am to the Ichor on the floor.
It's directly behind you, and you'd be thrown like a couple feet to the right. Or
So here's my idea. Drop the weapon, go to the floor, wipe my knuckles onto the Ichor, and go for the boxing match.
that sounds incredible. And yes, so you let go of the sword. It's thrown to the side, and by the time that it's like 2 crossed out eyes turned back towards you guys, again like a little asymmetrical and like askew from one another. You have like backhand sprung back like 8 feet, scraped both of your knuckles against this Ichor on the ground, and now you're closing back in with like a boxing stance. Fantastic. It's shaping up to be a fist fight with a demon.
Not what I imagined for my Tuesday evening, but one that I'm here for.
Yeah. However, this means that with Merigold thrown to with Merigold knocked over into the side, and Keith moving back to get some offensive capability, this thing has closed in and has an opportunity to attack Alberth once again. This thing is wrapping 2 tentacles around you, and it looks like it's going to throw you into the air to kill you, just like it had thrown Alberth into the air earlier. Roll to dodge the tentacles.
Like all of us?
Oh, no, just Alberth. It's just going after
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you do it?
Oh, I
How?
don't know.
Alberth, from this
my
demon's
gosh.
perspective, just disappears as the tentacles like wrap around one another, and then leaping and landing on one of the tentacles, bringing up his gun. I have to break. I have to break before the wall. It's his crossbow. He invented the crossbow. He calls it a gun. We can get back to. That's why we keep talking about bolts. We're not mispronouncing bullet. So, Alberth brings up his crossbow. Bolt still tipped in Ichor. Make that shot.
Yes. Can I add some spice to it and try out my new, not Ecdysis.
Ecdysis?
What is the Ecdysis? Is that, okay, is that something I cast on somebody, or is that like an internal spell?
You haven't used it yet, so you have no familiarity with how it works. You just know its name, and you have like a sense for how to activate it inside you. But yes, you can activate Ecdysis or Mimesis at you or a target. Yeah, we've missed out on some of this like experimentation and like trial and error kind of stuff because it happened earlier in your guys' stories because you're already really experienced casters. But yes, with this new spell, you have no idea the kind of effects that it can cast. You usually tend to cast it on something you don't like before trying to cast it on yourself or something you do like. Your experiments with Compel Adrenaline were occasionally unfortunate, but never catastrophic. But yeah, are you going to cast Ecdysis or Mimesis? And what are you casting it at?
definitely want Ecdysis on Demon.
Oh, I've been waiting for this one. Ecdysis, your new wild boon. Ecdysis is an ability of some lizards and insects to shed their outer skin in preparation for creating a new skin. It typically leaves the creature like it's an important part of it becoming stronger, that it has to grow in its new skin, but it has to shed its old skin first. But usually it means that it is vulnerable in the short time after shedding its skin. Its flesh is usually larval or like it's something you have to do in safety, like hibernation. It's just one of those very, very unsafe evolutionary tactics. So when you cast it on this thing, you'll remember that the demon has this outer layer that's like a cloak that it keeps reaching its arms out of. As you cast Ecdysis, this thing is burned away by silver light. You're not sure if it has anything to do with the silver that like damages it, or the silver of all of Yasuka's like armor and weapons and shields and stuff. But however it works, this thing is burned away in silvery light, and you see 6 insect-like limbs that are gathered like under this cloak. This thing is remarkably thin and like scrawny almost, and you see several of its limbs have reached out and seems to have transmuted into the tentacles and talons that you had seen earlier, and 2 of its limbs are broken, as you have seen 2 of this thing's, like one of this thing's tentacles get chopped off and one of its talon arms snapped in half. One of its limbs is stubbed and the other is broken. And you see just a large, like larval seeming black like circle at its head that looks too heavy. Like it's once again clear that this thing doesn't really do physics in the same way that you do, but this creepy many-armed thing, the black surface that had covered all of it is now just in a single dome, and you see 3 eyes placed like equidistant from one another. You see a little bit of the other side, an eye with a slash through it, and a little bit on the other side, a slash through it. And now you see the final eye, which it had kept hidden from you, facing you, the only one without a slash through it already.
Nice.
Yeah, so you have stripped this thing of its outer flesh, of its protective layers, and you are now face to face with this strange demon. And a voice no longer dark and raspy, but kind of sickly and without the artifice that it has presented in the past says, "Wait, please." Do you shoot it?
Do it. Kill it. It didn't show the same hesitation to you, is all I'm saying.
That's a great point. I think Albert's natural inclination would be to wait unless someone were to compel me to adrenaline.
Oh, is this an invitation to get blood on my hands instead of yours? I accept. I compel adrenaline.
Keith, knowing that this thing could go either way, but from his experience with demons, pretty sure that if you hesitate to spare this thing, that's the moment it snaps your neck. Rather not risk it. He goes, "Don't worry, Albert, this one's on me," and compels adrenaline. Albert, it's not an exaggeration to say you've never felt this much of a badass before, jumping these tentacles and peeling away this thing's demonic armor, revealing its... you feel compel adrenaline, and the memory, like the short-term memory of the thing saying, "Wait, that hasn't even been encoded into long-term memory," that basically didn't even happen to Albert, as you pull the trigger like an XCOM soldier killing someone at point blank. You know what I mean? Go ahead and make that roll, because you're not symbiotically linked with Keith right now. You're linked with Merigold. You're still a good shot, but you are on like this moving surface of the tentacles, and you miss.
Dang it.
Compelled adrenaline, you shoot this thing, And without any hesitation, without even thinking about it, because again, some of your agency has sort of been taken away by this compulsion spell. You draw the two other bolts that you had in your pack that were and throwing the gun to the side. You don't even recognize that you are mid-dive until you're right there, jumping out towards this thing. Make 2 more attacks. These are harder, but you get to make 2 of them. Please don't miss these. This would be so anticlimactic if you rolled like 2 things under it.
No. Say it ain't so.
Please.
Oh no.
You stab not at the eyes, but like you glance off of this thing's like weird central orb, and they leave like scalded like gouge marks. But this thing, without another thought, like grabs you with one of its insect arms and reaches up far enough for that to become a tentacle, reaches you up 20 feet in the sky, twirls you once, and then throws you. So.
Oh, that was a fun character. I really enjoyed that.
Let's see here. Yeah. What are you guys doing? To you, the 2 demon hunters have basically just seen this as an opportunity. They're closing in, and the one with the sword and shield is like trying to get into that infighter place, like before where the insect like twig limbs turn into really powerful ones. It's trying to get like on the inside and like cut across something with its silver sword, and the archer is like sniping every time it reaches one of its arms out to like make it retract. So it's this kind of small little thing of spinning twig limbs, just retreating and retreating.
How close am I able to get there within a turn?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, you weren't thrown off to the side. You got the ichor on your fist, so you're like still right in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna start just punching the shit out of it.
Absolutely. And Merigold, do you have anything in particular? You're symbiotically linked with a man who is hurtling through the sky. So you are feeling this like loaned sense of panic as you feel like you're falling. Like you start to have vertigo and you're like, wait, no, I'm on the ground, right?
What can I do? Is there anything I can
with your
do?
shield.
Where's that lady that saved Albert? Where's she at? Or that saved Keith, I mean.
Oh, yeah, she was trying to kill him.
Yeah, but
that's the swordswoman who disappeared into the forest presumably trying to get to the caravan before you do.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to be like going to the caravan to stop that shit, right?
Yes, but yeah. So the main concerns right now, 2 of the probably the most intimidating 2 members of the hunter casters, the claw and the mask, are now like going around the outskirts of this fight, like waiting to see who survives so that they can pick you off, or possibly waiting for an opportunity to sabotage you while you're in combat with this demon. There's a chance that the Baron has attacked the caravan. There's a chance that that swordswoman is off to hunt the caravan. And of course there's this demon who wants to kill Alberth and maybe Abelka Ashad, but mostly Alberth, and is now yoke him through the air. That's the most immediate threat to anyone's long-term health. Alberth has been yoked.
I don't know what to do. I guess I'll punch the shit out of this thing as well. Might as well do it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've completely forgotten the gimmick of this campaign. I should give you several options. Yeah, punching this thing is an option. Trying to tackle it with the shield out is an option. You could also just like give the shield to the sword and shield guy to just then he can have a holy shield. That's an option he could roll with. You could see if you could help Abelka Ashad get down, or you can ask Vizier Kama or Elway what you can do to help them.
Try to help Alakashad because he seems like the one that could most likely help Albert if we could engage him.
Right on.
But I'm going to toss the shield towards the shield sword guy.
Sweet. Yeah. You get his attention, slide it across the wet grass, and he shouts, and having closed into this thing's reach, flicks the shield off of his one arm by like letting go of the inner guard and letting it slide off, and scoops the one up that comes to him, and he like nods at you as he turns to try and like fight this thing at really close range. And then quick of wit, you pull out some silken rope from your bag and chuck it up to wrap around the top, and Awakash shouts, "Thank you!" and hurriedly like ties that in a knot so that it'll hold on the tree branch, and then he slides down to you very clumsily. Abelkashad, for anyone missing from last time, 7 or 8 feet tall. He's an angel. He has a halo around his head, but like the Renaissance art kind of halo, not the like physical ring like above the head kind of halo. So it just, wherever he turns, it always looks like his head is backlit by golden light. And he frantically nods to Merigold. Yeah, you guys move over to a safe distance. There's actually Pater Ullman had retreated to like a distance that he didn't have to like fist fight anyone, but would be there to like heal people. And you hurry Alakashad over, and that's where you guys are at.
I'm gonna say go fly. He flung Albert over that. I don't know if you saw it. Go fly and catch him before he hits the ground.
Oh, you're talking to... I'm sorry, man. I don't have wings. Not on this plane. Like I said, I'm 10 rings. I'm like a bunch of metal rings somewhere else. But I got it. I'm like, the way you see me now, that's who I gotta be right now.
Yeah, like ring a bell or something. Like what? Is there anything you can do to help?
Great joke. Not applicable. I need you to know that it's fiction. Meanwhile, Keith, you get one more turn as well before we cut back to Albert.
Did I punch him this last turn?
You have not punched him yet.
Acre.
We were talking about the... Yeah, go ahead and roll 2d20 as he blows in. Jab cross.
Why?
8 and a 1. You drive this thing back.
Third one in a row.
Yeah. You drive this thing back, but at no point do you make solid contact with its core or its limbs or its head or its eye. You just you and the sword and shield guy and the bow guy are all just driving it backwards. You're pretty effectively controlling it, but then you hear the heavy footstep of the claw coming up behind you. It seems that they're pressing this advantage to now flank you. Albert, the wind whistles through your ears, and you think of everything that you can do about this, and the list is disturbingly short. The way that Keith had survived earlier wasn't like a cool druid power. It was the coincidence that they thought that Keith could survive a fall from that height, so they sent someone up there to kill him in the sky. No one appears to be sending a convenient swordswoman to kill you in the sky, and you've never been so disappointed by that fact. You feel like the apex of the launch hit very quickly because there wasn't a lot of vertical momentum, mostly horizontal, and you pitch downward and you are hurtling over. You're not sure if you're going to land while you're still in this big like field prairie kind of area or if you're going to get to the tree line before you hit the ground, but either way your momentum is too much both horizontally and will be too much vertically for there to be much hope for you whether you hit a tree or the ground. As you're hurtling through the sky, yeah, you think of all of your powers. Compel adrenaline doesn't really work unless you can get a bird to panic catch you. That's it's not a thing. Animal empathy, again, you could talk to birds, but the idea of you talking to a bunch of birds who very hurriedly catch you before you fall too fast, never. It's just not Lord of the Rings. There's not a giant eagle waiting just off screen. Again, never been so disappointed by the lack of giant eagles. But and even your new powers, Ecdysis, you've just used, and you're not sure how it would be useful to you otherwise. You're not sure what physical or metaphorical outer skin you could shed that would prevent blunt force trauma from killing you. The only one left to you is Mimesis. You never used it before. You just know that it's the power to imitate something else. You know that some of your other druid powers allow you to connect with other people's magic. You've like whether it's an otherworldler like the demon or Abelka Ashad, or whether it's a caster, you've been able to like connect with other people's powers and abilities before. Your only hope left is to use Mimesis and hope that the whatever you copy or simulate about someone else includes a power, and even then you have to select someone whose power would let you not fall to your death. So who do you cast it on? Merigold, Keith. What?
Oh no.
Yeah, Merigold, Keith, Elway, Yasuka, the demon, any of the demon hunters, the two hunter casters who are still within your eyesight.
Can he cast it on any living like thing?
Yes, yeah. And you know what? Roll me a perception check to see if you can manage to spot any flying wildlife or some such as you hurtle through the skies.
Is plant life included in the anything?
Absolutely. Yes, it is. You see nothing in the sky. You see nothing on the ground. There's no... Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Do I see the guy that's just running? Like, the guy that Yasuka... Or no, the Elway. Like...
Ooh. Yeah, there are two people who have run into the forest. Or two... There's a bunch of baronial guards as well. But there are two, like... magic or magic-seeming people that have run into the forest since the beginning of this. Also, roll me a luck check to see if you see either of the two of them. It's just a flat d20. Just like everything. I mean, that's just how we're rolling today.
Okay,
with the two,
I used up all my good rolls.
With
currently.
a second 2 in a row, you
Yeah.
don't manage to see the swordswoman or the flautist, the bard. Who are you copying?
I'm gonna copy Abelkashad. Because maybe being 10 rings would hurt less when I hit the ground.
Mm-hmm. 10 rings. You cast on Abelkashad, and it's not a symbiotic link, so you don't like mind meld with him. You cast Mimesis, the ability to copy someone. And you immediately feel like your mannerisms change. It's a weird thing to feel while you're hurtling through the sky. But you realize that it's much easier now to like connect to other people and what they're feeling and what they're understanding. It's a heartbreaking sensation to feel as the despair sets in. And you feel this sort of twisted empathy for not just like the other hunter casters whose like motives you don't understand, but you suddenly feel this twisted empathy that in the moment you don't want to feel for this demon, that it felt like its like its safety and its control over its own existence was dictated by the actions of something that it didn't fully understand. And you think that if that happens to you, you'd find that thing and you'd throw it to its death too. And it's this terrible symmetry to feel the fear of what this thing has done to you and the empathy for why it did it. And then you hit a tree. Merigold, your symbiotic link breaks off completely. Nothing.
Yikes. Okay.
You see Abelkashad in the distance break into a sprint. No! He's running for the woods. And also notable, the demon just retreats. Now that it knows that it's taking care of Alworth, it just flees way off into the woods. And the demon hunters like regroup and like try and close in. The one with the bow stays to wake up the one who had dropped the axe. But they they leave, and you see Yasuka, who had been fighting this thing and is now like dripping sweat out of her plate armor, like flips up her visor, and you can see like a glossy, like it's the most intense cardio workout you've ever seen to just fight this demon with a sword in full plate armor. And she looks into the distance and like pants and seems to like judge the distance and the speed of the demon, and then shakes her head like, no, I can't close that gap. That's not a human thing to do. And then she looks at the demon hunters chasing after it in the distance. They're fast, but they're not that fast. And she goes, that's my shield.
Oh no, her shield.
Eventually her sword stops glowing as well as she resheaths it across her back, and she groups up with like Elway and Vizier Kama as they turn to fight the hunter casters, but they've already left. You can see where they retreated into the tree line, but they are now like gone. Apparently they decided this encounter wasn't worth pressing at this juncture, which has kind of been their MO, is to press in and then retreat. They're probably trying to find their teammates who ran away for one reason or another, or they're moving to the horses. That's an important note. They could still be a threat to the success of your mission, even if they're moving away and not like actively trying to kill you anymore. But you guys quickly realize that all of your immediate threats have disappeared, except, curiously, the mysterious figure who had been following Keith, who you had seen in the nearby tree line, and who is now gone.
Is my swords nearby? Can I go just gather those up real quick and then run back to the caravan?
Yes, yeah. You can go and gather up your swords. Actually, you go to get the sword that you threw at the swordswoman, and it's gone.
That bitch, dude.
You guys see running out from the tree line a very short figure with a ponytail, dressed all in black, carrying a very short man in a red jacket. She meets Abulka Shad halfway through the field and like drops it and seems to be talking to him, but she's very far away. And eventually she like pats Abulka Shad on the shoulder and runs over to you guys. Keith, you recognize this shape as the mysterious figure that had been following you for some time. She now like runs up. He's just like a little out of breath. Says, Keith, Dwarven Forge.
Yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you, I guess.
Albert rolls over in his grave just a little bit at that.
I've been following you for some time. I was expecting in that big fight for there to be like a moment that you were in grave danger and I was going to drop out of this.
Yeah, there
drop out of
was
the
a
tree
moment
line
like
and
that.
kill him. I wasn't there at the time. I had moved back. Look, can I be your apprentice?
Oh,
You're a predator druid, right? I need... Oh, I'm sorry.
That's why you want to
surprisingly
be my
heavy
apprentice?
man. What?
No, because I'm like a good blacksmith or anything.
No, who the fuck cares about blacksmithing? You killed a bunch of people and you're gonna kill the dwarves, and that's so wild. That's truly what I am training, and I want to be an apex druid someday, and I want to learn from the best, and you're the best. Don't really care about the swords, but if that's part of it, I suppose I could work it out. I could smith something. Is that the verb? Smith something? I got your friend, by the way. He's still got a pulse.
Yeah, this isn't happening right now. I'm gonna walk away for a minute.
Okay, but you'll consider it, right? I'll just follow you until you tell me yes. Right. And she just saunters along about 20 feet behind Keith, introduces herself to Merigold. Hi, it's nice to meet you. No, I'm Amala. I forgot to mention Amala. So you're a friend of Keith's?
All right, I'll tell him it's okay if he joins me until we meet up with our larger party, and then the party can decide if they'll be allowed to stick around.
Right on. Um, yeah, the group of like, yeah, Pater Ullman and Merigold and Vizier Kama and Elway and now Yasuka, you guys all gather up and you are approaching just behind Keith and Amela towards the figure of Alberth, and standing over him, seemingly like checking vital signs, is yeah, sorry, is Abulka Ashad. And when you guys get to him, he looks up at you with a furrowed brow, very serious, and he says, "Hey, guys, I'll sit down around him. It's best if we don't move him right now." And Vizier Kama looks nervously around and kind of goes like, "We need to get back to the caravan. At least some of us. Like, if you need to stay here with him, that's fine." And Abulka Ashad goes, "Yeah, I'll keep it short. He's asleep, and he's maybe going to be asleep for a long time, maybe forever. I don't know how experienced you are with injuries like that." And Peter Ullman's nodding, like, "Yeah, no, I've seen this kind of thing before." And Abulka Ashad is like moving around his airway and like feeling at different parts on his torso to see if he's got like a stiff abdomen or any like bruised ribs or anything. And he tests his reflexes, and like the unconscious Alberth is still like able to move his leg, and Abulka Ashad lets out like a really audible sigh of relief. He goes, "Okay, I don't think anything happened to his spine. That's really important in injuries like this." And he keeps checking him around. Eventually he nods. He says, "Okay, I can move him. I'll meet you at where the caravan is." And Vizier Kama goes, "Yeah, we got to get back." And Marigold, do you mention like your insight about how they probably have horses nearby?
Yes, I do.
Sweet. She goes, "All right, let's hope that they're trying to find their other hunter-caster companion before they get back to the horses. Let's retrace their steps, see if we can find those horses, and get back. Abel will meet you there." And Abulka Ashad nods with his brow furrowed. Yeah. Who stays with Alberth and Abulka Ashad, and who goes with Vizier Kama to get on the horses and get back?
I'll go with the horses.
Right on.
I guess I will stay. Unless that's a terrible idea.
No. It's you're not even sure how many horses there will be. And Vizier Kama, if she's bothered by it, she doesn't wait to argue anything. She nods, and you guys split up to meet back at the caravan later. Marigold, you go with Vizier Kama with the whole group other than Keith, Alberth, and Abulka Ashad. You guys retrace the hunter-casters' steps, and you do find their horses before they get back to them. They had a bunch of them because they brought out the baronial guard, and so you guys get up on the horses and cut the rest loose so that they don't get used by the rest of the party, and you guys ride back. It's a couple of hours. It's nightfall or like twilight by the time you guys get back to the caravan, and you arrive to a disturbing sight. In the distance, you can see about 16 soldiers gathered around the two covered wagons, which it looks like all of the packages have been removed and then like taken apart to see what's inside, and the covered wagons are aflame. It's dark enough that it's starting to be like you can't make out their features because they're only backlit by this fire in the distance, and you see one larger figure who seems to be calling the shots. The Baron is here himself, and he's telling his soldiers to scout out the area and go out this way and that way. It looks like they've looted and burned the caravans, and Vizier Kama just has her brow set really deep, and Peter Ullman starts to try to say something to her, and she knocks his hand away and is just like dead set. What they don't see, but what Merigold does, is a pair of footprints disrupted by the tapered edge of something that someone is dragging. You you recognize the boot prints as Rez Kalen's. And when you point it out to the rest of the party, you guys follow these boot prints to find in the distance, having started to like cover up a bunch of his tracks and like try and set up this little shelter, is Rez Kalen with his sword at his side and one large box. On a hunch, Merigold, you activate your presence ward and sense that it is the creeping thing. The faint life sense that you had detected before is in this box, almost coffin-sized. And Rez Kalen grimly looks up at Vizier Kama, who looks deeply relieved, and he nods. And he looks around at the group, like not sure, and he waves Vizier Kama over, and he whispers something in her ear. It's too quiet for you to see, but Merigold, long being a finder of secrets and having been raised in a political atmosphere, Merigold is no slouch at the bat when it comes to reading lips. And the Rez Kalen whispers two words to Vizier Kama. She's stable.
Say she. Well, you don't mind.
I'm like about
I'm
to
gonna
pivot
go
scenes.
topic.
Excuse me. Who's she? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What was your question to them?
I'm gonna start walking towards the coffin and try to open it, basically, to see what's inside.
Vizier Khan goes, no, it's temperature controlled. You can't do it. Do you open it anyways?
Temperature controlled. What are you keeping in there?
She says the golden.
So
Gale,
she's keeping
the important part of this.
The what?
The Golden Gale. The plant that we need to bring back, the whole point of the quest?
The plant's a female?
No. What are you talking about?
You said she's stable. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this.
Who said that?
I'm gonna open it then. I mean,
You really quick go down to undo the latches and flip it open, and she like dives to stop you, but you flip it open and reveal not a collection of temperature controlled herbs, but a woman in royal attire with a silver crown, with her arms crossed. This is the life sense that you had earlier, and she is breathing very faintly, apparently about as close to death as Alworth. Vizier Kama
Gotcha.
like looks around at everyone and just shakes her head and pinches her brow. She says, I suppose it's about time anyways. You've all traveled with us for long enough. It would be wild if you were somehow planning something and just stuck through all of this shit. We're not bringing Golden Gale to the Queen because you can't. I mentioned it being temperature controlled earlier. We thought that was an option, and we originally had a frost sorcerer with us to keep the Golden Gale cold, but it doesn't stay fresh even when frozen. You have to take the Golden Gale right after you root it out of the ground, and so we didn't bring the Golden Gale to the Queen. We brought the Queen to it, and we don't know if she's going to make it. We'll cut back.
Might not help, but okay.
anger.
It is much later, almost to the morning, when Keith and Abelkashad has been carrying Albert for all this time, and doesn't seem like he's too dogged by it. He seems like he's still doing great, despite not being all that useful in combat. He's very useful right after combat, and you can feel his healing aura affecting Alberth. It's unclear if that's going to be all you need. And I said that it was just you and Abelkashad with Alberth, but that's not true. Amala is also with you, asking questions constantly. She will not stop talking, and she brings up memories that disturb Keith. Memories about when he first gained his druid powers in a process that he wasn't all too comfortable with. She's hardly any older than you were when you were brought for the trial of Elkatan at the age of 15. You try not to think about it. You and Al-Khashad travel for this time, being very careful to avoid pretty much anywhere with significant visibility, because it's hard to hide an angel. It's hard to hide someone who's unconscious and healing. He can't exactly contribute to your stealth rolls. And so the best way to get back to the rest of the party is
a direct, like, speedy route.
No, is to be places that no one could see you, in the thickest underbrush, and not taking any chances. You figure you'll get there eventually. And Abul-Khashad mentions to Keith that he was going to tell Alberth after they found the Chimera that it was time for his being with the group to end. He explains to you, instead of how he intended to explain to Alberth, that he can't stay with one traveling group for too long, because they eventually become too reliant on him, and he does more harm by leaving than he ever did by coming. And so he was going to part with the group, but now he doesn't feel like he should, and he wonders whether staying with you will increase the harm that he does by leaving. But he knows that if he leaves, Albert's got next to no chance of making it. And when you guys arrive, not at the caravan, but at Keith being a fantastic tracker, you also recognize the prince, even though it's been many more hours. You find your way back to the where Rez Caitlin had dragged the package. You find a small note there that Vizier Kama has left, explaining that they couldn't afford the risk to wait for you, and that they had to press on to the capital. And that's where we'll leave it for this week. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Yeah. Next week will be the final episode of this campaign, of the first campaign set in the 9 worlds, our current campaign setting. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching us, whether it be on the stream or on YouTube. We're glad to have you, and we're really excited to see you next week to finish out this campaign, and we'll start the next one the week after. There's not going to be an off-season. We're just going to switch tracks, and we will be coming back to this world in the future, so thank you for coming. Thank you for coming.